Let's begin by offering our respects to ISKCON founder Acharya and our preeminent Shiksha Guru, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki
जय. राईट होता इकडे तुम्हाला सांगितलं पुढे गेले तुम्ही.
Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpataruvyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Vasudevaya.
So we welcome all of you to our weekly online Krishna book classes. Thank you very much for joining. We have with us here Auntie Neeta, Aja, Devina, Dipti Adnani, Divya, Durga Prasad. I don't know whose iPhone. There is an iPhone here. Then we have Kamala Nandini Mataji, Karuna, Manjuni Halani, Meenakshi, N.C. Venkatchari, Priyanka Jha. My parents are there. Then we have Romi, Shailesh Latkar, Sheetal Latkar, Shivani, Shri Radhe Hari Devidasi, and we have Swapna Latkar. Okay. So what did we see in the previous class? Has Krishna come back to the gopis? In the previous chapter, did we see Krishna returning to the gopis or no?
No, not yet.
Not yet, yes. So, I'm sorry, he did return to the gopis. When we saw the Gopi Gita, he had not yet returned. But in the previous class by Prabhu Nirantara, we saw that he did return back to the gopis. Though in the previous class, yes, he did return back to the gopis. Okay. Anyways, so as we discussed, this Rasa Leela is described in 5 chapters, no? 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33. Today we will be seeing 33. In 32, Krishna returned to the gopis, and in 31, we saw the Gopi Gita where they were crying in separation from the gopis. So in 32, in the previous chapter, we saw how Krishna returns, no? And for the gopis, it is like their life air has returned to them, because when Krishna was absent, they said that we are dying in separation, no? So that was one of the things they were telling Krishna, that we are dying in separation and you have to save us because you have come to save all the living entities. But when Krishna came back, then for the gopis, it was like as though their life air has returned. No, and the burning pain that they were experiencing in the heart when Krishna was absent, now that burning pain also has disappeared. So they are very, very happy, they are very, very elated. And then the gopis, they reciprocated with Krishna in different ways. No, some gopi, she took Krishna's hand between her two hands. Some gopi was looking at Krishna continuously without blinking her eyes at all. Some gopi was reciprocating by embracing Krishna in her heart. So like that, we saw different gopis are reciprocating in different ways with Krishna when Krishna returns. And it is described how actually when Krishna came back, they first saw him at a distance, but they were not able to see him clearly. It was very blurry because they had tears in the eyes. No, so when Krishna came closer, then they were able to see him clearly that yes, Krishna has come back. So when Krishna came back, they offered him a seat to sit with their own fine garments, with their shawls, fine linen shawls they used, and they made a nice seating arrangement for Krishna. So Krishna sat down there in the midst of the gopis. Then gopis asked Krishna a question. Does anybody remember the question that gopis asked Krishna? And why they asked him that question?
They asked him that there are 3 kinds of lovers, and first is the one who does not expect anything. Second is the one who expects something in return, and third is the one I don't recall the third one, but I
Okay.
think it was to the effect the third one does not reciprocate, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so yes, so the 3 categories are those who reciprocate, but only when they get something. No, so they reciprocate only when they get something. So in return, they reciprocate. Second category is they reciprocate even to people who are antagonistic to them, even to people who are envious of them. So even then, they reciprocate. And third category is they are completely neutral. They do not care for any kind of love or affection. No, so they are indifferent. So the gopis are saying there are 3 categories of people when it comes to interexchange of love. Those who are motivated in the sense that they want something, only then they will reciprocate. So motivated, unmotivated, even if they don't get something, still they will reciprocate in love. And 3 are those who are indifferent. So the gopis are asking Krishna, what do you think about this? Please explain about these 3 kinds of people. These kinds of people when it comes to dealing between the lovers. So why do the gopis ask Krishna this question?
Because they want to convey they also want to convey their displeasure because he left them, he abandoned them, and
Yes.
so that is one of the.
Yes, they are trying to tell Krishna, they are expressing to Krishna by asking this question that you have not reciprocated appropriately with our love. No, this is what they are trying to tell Krishna. This is what they want to express to Krishna. So what did Krishna reply? The first category of people who reciprocate only when they receive something, Krishna says they are the people who are selfish. There is no true love or friendship in their hearts. For them, it's this whole love dealing is like a business deal. They are like merchants. They are only self-interested, and for them, they are the centers. They are self-centered people. Krishna says. The second category of people who reciprocate even to people who are hostile, even to people who are antagonistic, even to people who do not show any affection. Krishna says they are better than the previous one. And he gives the example of parents who love their children. Even if the children are hostile or antagonistic to the parents will still love their children. Krishna says. Then the third category, those who are indifferent, those who do not show affection towards anyone. Uh, Krishna said they can be further divided into two categories. Who are they? One is those who are Atmarams, who are spiritually self-satisfied. Because they are spiritually self-satisfied, because they are so focused on Krishna, it doesn't matter to them other than Krishna who loves them and who doesn't care for them. They do not they do not care about them. So therefore they are indifferent. The second category of such people who are indifferent are those who are ungrateful. Ungrateful people, like ungrateful people are, Krishna uses the Sanskrit as akrita gya. Akrita gya means those who are ungrateful. Even though they receive love and affection, they do not want to reciprocate. So they revolt against their superiors, Krishna says, and they are called as Guru Druhas. Guru Druhas means they who go against their gurus or against their parents, is despite receiving all kinds of affection or all kinds of things they receive from the superiors, but they do not reciprocate because they are ungrateful. So Krishna first answers the gopis question, and then Krishna goes on to explain why he left the gopis. So what does Krishna say? Why did he leave the gopis?
Pride.
Krishna doesn't say he left them for pride.
So no, I think it is time has come for him to go to Mathura. Maybe that is one of the reason.
No. What does Krishna say there to the gopis? Why did he leave them?
He is self-satisfied.
What's that, Priyanka?
Krishna is self-satisfied.
No.
Krishna is self-satisfied. That is why.
No, Krishna is self-satisfied, but why did he leave the gopis?
Krishna says that he sometimes leaves his devotees so that they don't feel that he is easily available, and then their desire for Krishna increases, and they pursue him even with a greater fervor, and
Exactly.
that is one of the reasons he leaves it.
Yes,
But he also
exactly.
says that he's a debtor to the gopis, and that he will never be able to pay the debt.
Yes, perfect. Full marks. So see, that's what Krishna says, that the reason why I left was in order to increase your love and affection for me. Krishna doesn't say that it's because of pride or Mathura or anything like that. Krishna says that the reason why I left you was because it will increase your love for me more and more. Krishna says, I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. Why? In order to increase their love for me more and more. And as Shailesh said, Krishna said that if he is easily approachable, if he is very easily approached, if he is very easily available, then that love and affection might not be there, as it is to this extent when there is separation and then there is union. So love in separation is a higher concept. There is more intensity in love in separation than there is in love in union. When we are separated from our partners for some time, and then when we meet, then that meeting is even more sweet, even more sweet. So then Krishna gives the example, he gives the example of how if there is a poor man and he accumulates some wealth, he is very poor, and then somehow he accumulates some wealth, and then for some reason he loses that wealth, then he will be 24/7 thinking about that wealth only. So like this, in order to increase the love of the gopis, therefore Krishna says that I left. And then he glorifies the gopis. He glorifies the superior position of the gopis by saying that I will forever remain indebted to you for your love. Krishna says that he cannot repay the love of the gopis even for several lifetimes of the devatas, which means it's for several millions and millions and millions of years. Krishna is saying that I cannot repay the love that you have for me. So, and then Krishna says, please excuse me if I have done anything wrong. So this is, on this note, the previous chapter ended. Can we have somebody to read, because I'm not able to read? Who can read for me today?
Can I read, Mataji? Are we reading chapter 33?
Yes, but your reading is a bit too fast, Sri Radhe Hari.
No problem. No problem. It's okay.
Somebody who can go a little slower. Dipti, are you there? Can you read?
Can you read? Can you read? Can you read? Can you read? Can you read?
Yeah, Mataji, I'm here.
Okay, can
Let
you
me
read?
see if
Is it
I
possible
think
for
so,
you?
yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
guess so.
okay, let's see. Because I like your pace of the way you read. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so today, by the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Krishna, we come to the end of we are reading the last chapter. So we are coming to the end of the Rāsa Panchadhyaya, what is described as, no? This is the last chapter describing this particular Rasa Leela. So this is titled Description of the Rasa Dance. Yes, please read.
Description of the Rasa dance. Thus, hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, speaking to pacify them, the gopis became very much pleased. They became completely relieved of the great suffering of separation, not only by hearing the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also by touching his hands and legs. After this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead began his Rasa dance. A dance in the midst of so many girls is called a Rasa dance. So Krishna began to dance among the most beautiful and fortunate girls within the three worlds. The gopis of Vrindavan, who were so attracted to him, danced with Krishna hand in hand.
So see, this particular dance that Krishna wants to do with the gopis uh, is described by Sri Kavi Karnapur in his Ananda Vrindavan Champu. He writes that the dance that Krishna wanted to do with the gopis was a joyful circular dance, which is called as Halisaka. Halisaka dance is a dance where the gopis are, all those are dancing, they are in a circle, no? And then there is something going on in the center of the circle. So it's called as a Halisaka dance. It's a very rhythmic dance, very joyful, happy dance. And Krishna wanted to perform this particular Halisaka dance so that the gopis can display their talents and their individual mellows. No, so therefore he tells then Krishna tells them, he tells the gopis, "Can you all form a circle?" And then the gopis tell him that no, but if we form a circle, then we will be far away from you. The gopis say. So I was just researching on this Halisaka dance, and it appears that the modern version of this Halisaka dance is something like what is done in a dandiya. The dandiya dance also, or a garba, is a circular dance, right? And then there is something in the center. So this Halisaka is the old version, or the original version, or the ancient version of what in the modern times we know as dandiya or garba. So this is the kind of dance that Krishna wanted to do with the gopis. Let's read.
Krishna's Rasa dance should never be compared to any kind of material dance, such as a ball dance or a society dance. The Rasa dance is a completely spiritual performance. In order to establish this fact, Krishna, the supreme mystic, expanded himself into many forms and stood beside each gopi. Placing his hands on the shoulders of the gopis on both sides of him, he began to dance in their midst. The mystic expansions of Krishna were not perceived by the gopis because Krishna appeared alone to each one of them. Each gopi thought that Krishna was dancing with her alone. Above that wonderful dance flew many airplanes carrying the denizens of the heavenly planets who were very eager to see the wonderful dance of Krishna with the gopis. The Gandharvas and the Kinnaras began to sing, and accompanied by their respective wives, all the Gandharvas began to shower flowers on the dancers.
So when, as we discussed, when the gopis told Krishna that if we form a circle, then we will be far away from you. That time Krishna said that, I will not be far away from you. No, and therefore he expanded himself such that for every one gopi there is one Krishna, and each gopi is thinking that Krishna is with me. Okay, so this is how this Rasa dance was done. For every one gopi there is Krishna, and there is a rhythmic. They are moving about in a rhythmic fashion, and they have started to dance in that circular, in a circle, and this dance is such an elevated pastime of Krishna that even the demigods from heaven, they have come in order to witness this particular dance. Shailesh, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I had multiple questions here. One is that the age of Krishna, I think, during the Rasa dance is 8.
Yes.
And then again, during the rest of the chapter, I think Sri Rupa Goswami, he emphasizes that, Sutta Goswami, sorry, he emphasizes that he is only 8 years old. So then that causes slight confusion in my mind that is a Rasa dance like, you know, small children playing with each other? Is that what we are to take from it? Because that's what he emphasizes on during the rest of the chapter, that he's 8 years old. So is that what we need to take from this?
So it is, yes, Krishna is 8 years old, but even when Krishna is in the body of a infant, still he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you cannot say that, yes, he is 8 years old, okay, but still he is God. He is still aware of what is going on. He is still aware of that he is reciprocating in Madhurya Ras. Remember, these gopis are those advanced sages who at the time of Lord Ramachandra wanted to enjoy Madhurya Rasa with Lord Ramachandra, but Lord Ramachandra said that I have already taken a Ekapatni Vrata. I have already vowed to have only one wife. So I will reciprocate to you in Madhurya Bhav in the next incarnation. So
then
yes, Krishna is 8 years
that's
old.
another question that I had. That is another question that I had. So then is Ramchandra and Krishna the same? Are they both the same? Because if you're saying that Krishna is an Ramchandra is an expansion of Krishna, then how can he then say that I will come as Krishna in the future?
So see, the thing is, there is something called as a plenary expansion. When we say plenary expansion means they have the same power and the same potency as Krishna. Like birthday candles, the acharyas give the example of birthday. When you have 10 birthday candles on the cake, they are all the same, yes or no? They're all of the same size, right? They all burn similarly, they're all the same. But still, there is one original candle from which all the other candles were lit. So plenary expansion means they are the same in the sense that they have the same potency, the same qualities. They also have all the 6 opulences. But still, Krishna is the original candle from which the other plenary incarnations have come. This is how we understand Krishna and Ram. It's from the first quadruple expansion that Lord Ramachandra appears. And how does Lord Ramachandra know that Krishna will come next? Of course, because Lord Ram also is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he knows, because this is like as we say again, it's like a stage play, no? Krishna comes, he does his pastimes, wraps up, and then he goes to another material planet. So he knows that Krishna is going to come next. Okay?
And then on my first question, just wanted to say one thing, because I completely agreed with your logic, what you said that he is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then Sutta Goswami keeps on saying that no, he's 8 years old, no, he's 8 years old during the rest of the chapter.
Yeah,
Which is
because we should
why
not misunderstand and compare this to the ordinary dealings of modern adolescent boys and girls. Krishna, when he's 8, he can also behave like an 80-year-old. What does it matter? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Let's continue.
As the gopis and Krishna danced together, a very blissful musical sound was produced from the tinkling of their bells, ornaments, and bangles. It appeared that Krishna was a greenish sapphire locket in the midst of a golden necklace decorated with valuable stones. While Krishna and the gopis danced, they displayed extraordinary bodily features. The movements of their legs, they are placing their hands on one another. The movements of their eyebrows, they are smiling. The movements of the gopis' breasts, gopis' clothes and earrings, their cheeks, their hair with flowers. As Krishna and the gopis sang and danced, these combined to appear like clouds, thunder, snow, and lightning. Krishna's bodily features appeared just like a group of clouds. The gopis' songs were like thunder. Their beauty appeared to be just like lightning in the sky, and the drops of perspiration visible on their faces appeared like falling snow. In this way, the gopis and Krishna fully engaged in dancing.
So the Rasa dance has begun. They are all moving artistically, and their arms are interlocked. The acharyas describe how sometimes they are separating their arms and sometimes they are putting their arms together, they're interlocking their arms together. The gopis are exhibiting different mudras, different expressions, different movements with their hands, with their fingers, and they're acting out the meaning of the songs that they are singing. Their feet are also moving in rhythm. They are moving their eyebrows very romantically. They are smiling very sweetly, and this very rhythmic Rasa dance has begun. And the demigods, Gandharvas, they all appear in the sky on their airplanes. They are glorifying Krishna. They are showering flowers on Krishna, and they are also completely astonished. Even the moon and the stars are completely astonished. They are playing kettle drums to glorify this entire Rasa dance. Let's continue.
The necks of the gopis became tinted with red due to their desire to enjoy Krishna more and more. To satisfy them, Krishna began to clap his hands in time with their singing. Actually, the whole world is full of Krishna singing, but it is appreciated in different ways by different kinds of living entities. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatha mam prapadyanante tams tathaiva bhajamai aham. Krishna is dancing and every living entity is also dancing. But there is a difference between the dancing in the spiritual world and that in the material world. This is expressed by the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, who says that the master dancer is Krishna and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is trying to imitate Krishna's dancing.
See here, this description, that the necks of the gopis became tinted with red due to their desire to enjoy Krishna more and more. So, there are 8 symptoms of ecstatic love that are manifested in the body of a devotee when the devotee feels extreme love for the Lord. This is described in the Nectar of Devotion. So what are these 8 symptoms of ecstatic love? Becoming stunned, perspiring, standing of the hairs on the body, faltering of the voice, trembling of the body, changing of bodily colors, shedding of tears, and devastation. So when one is feeling extreme love for the Lord, then these symptoms are manifest in the body of a devotee. And then it is further described. So changing of colors, it's here it says, where does it go? Here, changing of bodily colors. But when the change of the bodily color is red, it is a very, very rare phenomenon. See here, if the color change takes place due to excessive jubilation, the hue turns red. Because such a change of color is so rare, Sri Rupa Goswami does not further discuss this point. So this is such a rare thing. First of all, for a devotee to manifest any one of these 8 symptoms also out of ecstatic love is very, very rare. It means that the devotee is a very, very advanced devotee. And then if that change of color is red, then that is rarest of the rare cases. No, it is only for the most purest of the pure devotees, when the color changes red. And it is so rare that Rupa Goswami does not further discuss this point. And here we saw how the necks of, where is that? Yeah, the necks of the gopis became tinted with red. So this is how exalted again the position of the gopis is. Then the other point here is Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, says that Krishna is the master dancer and everyone else is his servant. So, I didn't put that. Oh, here it is. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabhabhratya Yare Yaiche Nachaya Se Taiche Kare Nritya. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller and all others are his servants. They dance as he makes them do so. So this is the verse that Srila Prabhupada is referring to when he speaks about this Chaitanya Charitamrita reference, no? And even if you recall, when we read that letter of Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada wrote that letter to Krishna on board the Jaladuta, he said that as you like, you can make me dance, make me dance, make me dance, oh Lord. Why? Because Krishna is the master dancer and we all dance according to what he likes. No, we are all his servants. Yeah, Shailesh, you have your hand raised?
In this slide, we are saying among the 8 symptoms, one of the symptoms is devastation. So, what does
Devastation
that
means
mean?
you lose your mental equilibrium. You're in a complete state of ecstasy. You lose your mental equilibrium. That is devastation. But sometimes these symptoms may be manifest in a person out of material weakness. They are not necessarily ecstatic symptoms of love. We should not misunderstand. For example, when Arjuna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he also underwent some of these symptoms, right? His hair was standing on end. He was shedding tears. His body was trembling. No, so he did undergo these some of these symptoms, but they were not out of ecstatic symptoms of love. It was because of his material weakness that he was undergoing these symptoms. So one must not think that, oh, somebody is manifesting some of these symptoms. So definitely it is because of ecstasy. No, sometimes it is due to material weakness.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Lavina.
Can you say that they were in a trance?
They were not in a trance. They were fully conscious because they are making those eyebrow movements. They are shaking their hands. They are singing in a rhythmic way. So yes, they have. It's not that they have lost their consciousness, but they are feeling so much ecstatic love for Krishna that their neck has turned red.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Dipti, please read.
Those who are actually in Krishna consciousness respond rightly to the dancing of Krishna. They do not try to dance independently. But those in the material world trying to imitate Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entities are dancing under the direction of Krishna's Maya and are thinking that they are equal to Krishna. But this is not a fact. In Krishna consciousness, this misconception is absent. For a person in Krishna consciousness knows that Krishna is the Supreme Master and everyone else is his servant. One has to dance to please Krishna, not to imitate or attempt to become equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The gopis wanted to please Krishna, and therefore, as Krishna sang, they responded and encouraged him by saying, "Well done, well done." Sometimes they presented beautiful music for his pleasure, and he responded by praising their singing.
Okay. So one has to dance to please Krishna, not to imitate or attempt to become equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a principle that has always been taught to us by Srila Prabhupada, by our acharyas, that you should not imitate great personalities. Even Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. One should not imitate great personalities. One should only follow in their footsteps. Because there are many things that the great personalities can do. That doesn't mean that we can also do. The rules and regulations that we have to follow is set up by the Lord himself, but the Lord is not subject to those rules and regulations. Just like how we have to follow when we are driving, we have to follow the red light, no? When there is a red light, we have to stop. But sometimes the police, if they are chasing a criminal, they can break the red light, and they can, because they are chasing the criminal. So the police are not going to be implicated because they broke the red light, right? But we will have to pay the fine. So like that, the law uh, definitely applies to the common citizens, but sometimes the lawmakers, under certain circumstances, they can break the law, and it's not that they are going to be implicated for that. No, in fact, they will be rewarded for that. So, like that, Krishna, he does not have to follow any rules and regulations. The Lord does not have to follow any rules and regulations. He can do so many things. That doesn't mean we can do. We have to follow in their footsteps. We have to follow their instructions. We have to follow the rules and regulations that they have laid down. But that doesn't mean that Krishna has to do it. Krishna can override the rules and regulations. Next.
Can't see some.
When some of the gopis,
When some of the gopis became very tired from dancing and moving their bodies, they placed their hands on the shoulders of Sri Krishna. Then their hair loosened and flowers fell to the ground. When they placed their hands on Krishna's shoulder, they became overwhelmed by the fragrance of his body, which emanated from the lotus, other aromatic flowers, and the pulp of sandalwood. They became filled with attraction for him, and they began to kiss him. Some gopis touched Krishna cheek to cheek, and Krishna began to offer them chewed betel nuts from his mouth, which they accepted with great pleasure by kissing. And by accepting those betel nuts, the gopis spiritually advanced.
Next.
The gopis became tired after long singing and dancing. Krishna was dancing beside them, and to alleviate their fatigue, they took Sri Krishna's hand and placed it on their raised breasts. Krishna's hand, as well as the breasts of the gopis, are eternally auspicious. Therefore, when they combined, both of them became spiritually enhanced. The gopis so enjoyed the company of Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, that they forgot that they had any other husbands in the world. And upon being embraced by the arms of Krishna and dancing and singing with him, they forgot everything. Srimad Bhagavatam thus describes the beauty of the gopis while they were rasa dancing with Krishna. There were lotus flowers over both their ears, and their faces were decorated with sandalwood pulp. They wore tilaka, and there were drops of perspiration on their smiling mouths. From their feet came the tinkling sound of ankle bells and bangles. The flowers within their hair were falling to the lotus feet of Krishna, and he was very satisfied.
So the gopis had forgotten that they had husbands. No, the Krishna is so prominent in their consciousness. They have nothing else in their consciousness other than Krishna. So that's how intense is their love for Krishna. Yeah, Shailesh, you have your hand raised.
Later in the chapter, it says that, they are physically present with their husbands, but their souls or some other form they are with Krishna. So then,
material
what is so the material form is with the husbands, and they are with in the soul they are with Krishna. Is that what that means?
Yes, that's what it means. Another body was manifested. That body went to Krishna, and for the husbands, the gross body, the husbands are thinking that my wife is here next to me. So the gross body was there,
Yes.
but there was another body that was manifested, a spiritual body, which went
spiritual.
to Krishna for the rasa dance. That was a very special case, which was arranged by the Lord.
Because the first chapter in the Rasa dance, it says ki they leave their husbands and they go, and some of them who did not leave, they join him in by meditation. So then again,
Yeah, so for some
slight
of them, the spiritual bodies were manifested, and for some of them, the spiritual body was not manifested because still there was some contamination. Remember, they had still some contamination. So some of them went later, and some of them went some other day. So for some of them, the spiritual body was not manifested because Yoga Maya, who made all these arrangements, she saw that there is still some slight bit of contamination left, for which they had to go through more anxiety. You know that we cannot go, we cannot go, we cannot go. So when we go through an anxiety, not only the gopis, but even us conditioned souls, when we go through anxiety, then we are burning some of our karma, because that 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 desperation, no, that anxiety of losing something, or something happening to our loved ones, when we go through that anxiety, also we are burning our karma. So the gopis, by going through that anxiety, they were burning that last little bit of contamination that they had. So yes, some of the gopis, the spiritual bodies were manifested and they went immediately. For some of them it was later, and for some of them it was on another day.
But then in this chapter, when it says that they're physically present with their husbands, so that means the material body is still with their husbands, and then it's spiritually that they have gone with Krishna from the beginning, or how is it?
Yeah, from the beginning only. Okay. Let's continue.
As stated in the Brahma Samhita, all these gopis are expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency. Touching their bodies with his hands and looking at their pleasing eyes, Krishna enjoyed the gopis exactly as a child enjoys playing with the reflection of his body in a mirror. When Krishna touched the different parts of their bodies, the gopis felt surcharged with spiritual energy. They could not adjust their loosened clothes, although they tried to keep them adjusted properly. Their hair and garments became scattered, and their ornaments loosened as they forgot themselves in the company of Krishna.
So Krishna enjoying the gopis is exactly like a child who's playing with his own reflection in a mirror, because these all the gopis and Krishna are not different from each other. It's not that Krishna is enjoying with the wives of other men. No, these gopis are non-different from Krishna. So one cannot say that Krishna is immoral. Next.
While Krishna was enjoying the company of the gopis in the Rasa dance, the astonished demigods and their wives gathered in the sky. The moon became afflicted with a sort of lust, began to watch the dance, and became stunned with wonder. The gopis had prayed to the goddess Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. Now Krishna was fulfilling their desire by expanding himself in as many forms as there were gopis and enjoying them exactly like a husband.
So Krishna has expanded himself in as many forms as there were gopis. So for every one gopi, there is one Krishna. And each gopi is thinking that Krishna is with me. And here Krishna is fulfilling the desire of the gopis, because they had done a lot of austerity, a lot of tapasya, and they prayed to Katyayani Devi that I want to have Krishna as my husband. So here Krishna was fulfilling their desire. Yeah, Shivani, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just Hare Krishna Mataji. The previous, before this one that we did, so I just wanted to ask, I forgot, the sages who were in the form of gopis, they were which potency of Krishna?
No, the sages were not in the form of gopis. The sages were in the form of sages only, but this is in Ram Leela. They were sages who approached Lord Ram and they said, we want to enjoy with you in Madhurya Ras. They were
Yes.
not sages in the form of gopis. They were sages in the form of sages only. Then they came as gopis in Krishna Leela. They are in Madhurya Ras. Gopis and Krishna, they enjoy the Madhurya Ras.
Okay. But which potency are they? In the previous, before this one that we did, it told the potency, right? Something about potency.
Where in this slide?
Yeah.
Krishna's pleasure potency.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, let's continue.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami has remarked that Krishna is self-sufficient. He is Atmaram. He doesn't need anyone else for his satisfaction. But because the gopis wanted Krishna as their husband, he fulfilled their desire. When Krishna saw that the gopis were tired from dancing with him, he immediately began to wipe his hands over their faces so that their fatigue would be relieved. In order to reciprocate that kind of hospitality of Krishna, The gopis began to look at him lovingly. They were overjoyed by the auspicious touch of the hand of Krishna. Their smiling cheeks shone with beauty, and they began to sing the glories of Krishna with transcendental pleasure. As pure devotees, the more the gopis enjoyed Krishna's company, the more they became enlightened with his glories, and thus they reciprocated with him. They wanted to satisfy Krishna by glorifying his transcendental pastimes. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all masters, and the gopis wanted to worship him for his unusual exhibition of mercy upon them.
Let's continue.
The gopis and Krishna entered the water of the Yamuna just to relieve their fatigue from the Rasa dance. The lily flower garlands around the necks of the gopis were strewn to pieces due to the gopis embracing the body of Krishna, and the flowers were reddish from being smeared with the kumkum from their breasts. The bumblebees were humming about in order to get honey from the flowers. Krishna and the gopis entered the water of the Yamuna just as an elephant enters a water tank with his many female companions. Both the gopis and Krishna forgot their real identities, playing in the water, enjoying each other's company, and relieving the fatigue of rasa dancing. The gopis began to splash water on the body of Krishna, all the while smiling, and Krishna enjoyed this. As Krishna was taking pleasure in the joking words and splashing water, the demigods on the heavenly planets showered flowers. The demigods thus praised the super excellent rasa dance of Krishna, the supreme enjoyer, and his pastimes with the gopis in the water of the Yamuna.
So the gopis are now fatigued, they are tired from the dancing, and therefore now Krishna and the gopis, they have entered the waters of the Yamuna, and they are playing in the water, they are splashing water on Krishna, and like this they are enjoying loving, transcendental, joking pastimes, no? And even this pastime of Krishna and the Yamuna, even that is being glorified by the demigods, and they are showering flowers from the higher plane where they have come to watch this pastime. So another argument, when somebody says that Krishna is immoral, then another argument is, if Krishna was doing something immoral, then great demigods, no, they are, of course we have to remember that the demigods, they are very, very exalted personalities. They are not ordinary living entities. No, after doing a lot of austerity and a lot of tapasya, and they are very highly qualified to be getting that position of a demigod. For example, if one wants to become Lord Brahma, one has to live 100 lifetimes perfectly executing the Varnashram system, which means you do not make any mistakes, you do not commit any sinful activities for 100 lifetimes. Perfect execution of the Varnashram system. Only then one is qualified to become Lord Brahma. So these demigods, they are very, very elevated personalities, and they are not going to come and watch something that is being done on an immoral or with an immoral mentality. No, it is not something that's compared to the cheap dealings of the modern day boys and girls. No, it is not. This is completely transcendental, it's completely spiritual. And that's why the demigods have also come to watch this spectacle. Otherwise, they are not going to waste their time over some cheap antics. Let's continue.
After this, Lord Krishna and the gopis came out of the water and began to stroll along the bank of the Yamuna, where a nice breeze was blowing, carrying the aroma of different kinds of flowers over the water and land. While strolling on the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna recited various kinds of poetry. He thus enjoyed the company of the gopis in the soothing moonlight of autumn.
So now they have come out of the waters and they are taking a stroll on the banks of the river Yamuna. Of course, it's autumn season, the best season, and it is the full moon night. Let's continue.
Sex desire is especially excited in the autumn season. But the wonderful thing about Krishna's association with the gopis is that there was no question of sex desire. It was as clearly stated in the Bhagavata description by Sukadeva Goswami, Avaruddha Saurata, the sex impulse was completely controlled. There is a distinction between Lord Krishna's dancing with the gopis and the ordinary dancing of living entities within the material world. In order to clear up further misconceptions about the Rasa dance and the affairs of Krishna and the gopis, Maharaj Parikshit, the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, told Sukadeva Swami, Krishna appeared on the earth to establish the regulative principles of religion and to curb the predominance of irreligion. But the behavior of Krishna and the gopis might encourage irreligious principles in the material world. I am simply surprised that he would act in such a way, enjoying the company of others' wives in the dead of the night. This statement of Maharaj Parikshit's was very much appreciated by Sukadev Swami. The answer anticipates the abominable acts of the Mayavadi impersonalists who place themselves in the position of Krishna and enjoy the company of young girls and women.
So see here, Sukadeva Goswami is appreciating the question of Maharaj Parikshit. Why? Because Maharaj Parikshit's question is very, very important, very, very crucial. Maharaj Parikshit, he knows, right? It's not that Maharaj Parikshit does not understand. He knows very well that what Krishna is doing is not immoral, it is transcendental. He understands all these things. But still, for the sake of the future generations, for the sake of especially the abominable acts of the Mayavadi impersonalists. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit is asking this question to Sukadeva Goswami. What is he saying? Krishna appeared on the earth to establish the regulative principles of religion and to curb the predominance of irreligion. But this behavior of Krishna and the gopis might encourage irreligious principles in the material world. How? Because people will say, oh, if Krishna can do it, then I can also do it. If Krishna is dancing with others' wives, why cannot I do it? No, I'm only doing what God has taught us to do. So this is the danger that may appear later in the future generations. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit is asking this very, very crucial question to Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva Goswami also is appreciating this particular question. Now, what do we mean by Mayavadi impersonalists? First of all, impersonalists are those people who believe that God is not a person. Impersonalist means they believe that God is not a person. Now, impersonalists are of two types. They are Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. Now, Brahmavadis, they believe that God is not a person and it stops at that. Okay. But the Mayavadi impersonalists are offensive to the Lord. Brahmavadis are not offensive to the Lord. It's just that their understanding of the absolute truth is incomplete, because we know absolute truth can be recognized in three features. We have done this before. What are the three features of realizing the absolute truth? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman is the light coming from Krishna's body. Paramatma is to realize Krishna as the Paramatma, as the super soul residing in the heart of every living entity. And third feature, the most complete feature, is to realize God as a person, Bhagavan, that God is a person. Of course, he is a person like us, but he is the topmost person. He is Purushottama. He is Purusha. He is a person, but he is Uttama. Purushottama means he is the topmost person. So the Brahmavadis, their understanding of the absolute truth stops at the first realization. They don't realize Paramatma and they don't realize Bhagavan feature of the Lord. But the Mayavadi impersonalists, they say that you are God, I am God, everyone is God. So this is offensive because you're putting the ordinary living entity, the Jiva, and God at the same level. At the same level. Because they say that we are all equal to God, therefore it's an offense to the Lord. So the Mayavadi impersonalists, they are very, very dangerous. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that if you hear, even if you hear from a Mayavad impersonalist, you will be finished. Your spiritual life will be finished. So he says, Mayavad Bhasha Sunile Haya Sarvanash. So we should not listen from a Mayavad philosopher at any cost. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, So what do these Mayavad impersonalists do? They say that because we are equal to God, whatever Krishna did, we can also do. Because Krishna is dancing with the gopis, we can also dance with the gopis. So then you have these, externally they look like they are spiritual, externally they look like they're religious. They act like religious leaders, and then they mislead the common, ignorant, innocent people, and they say we want to do the Rasa Leela, and then the innocent people in villages and all, they will send their daughters, their wives, their sisters to such Mayavad impersonalists, so that this Mayavad impersonalists can enjoy Rasa Leela with their daughters. And actually these Mayavad impersonalists, then they enjoy, it's because they say we are equal to Krishna. So this is the danger that is being anticipated by Maharaj Parikshit, and therefore he asked this question. Let's see next. Yeah,
The
Shivani,
basic,
one second.
uh,
Shivani, you have a hand
yeah,
raised?
Yeah, Mataji, so the Mayavadi impersonalists, so they believe in the light of Krishna or no?
Yes, yes. They believe that from that light, Krishna, Rama, and all these personalities have come. But actually, it's vice versa, no? From Krishna's body, the light is coming. It's like the sunlight is coming from the sun. That is logic. But if you say the sun is coming from the sunlight, that is illogical. So these Mayavad impersonalists, they believe that God is a light. And it is from this light only that great personalities like Ram and Krishna come. And we are also equal to God. We are equal to Krishna, we are equal to Ram, just that now we have been covered by these material coverings. But when these material coverings go, we will also be merged into that light, into that Brahma Jyoti, and we will also come as Ram and Krishna. That is their philosophy.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Yes, now please.
okay. The basic Vedic injunctions never allow a person to enjoy sex with any other woman except his own wife. Krishna's appreciation of the gopis appeared to be distinctly in violation of these rules. Maharaj Parikshit understood the total situation from Sukadeva Goswami, yet to further clarify the transcendental nature of Krishna and the gopis in the Rasa dance, he expressed his surprise. This is very important in order to check the unrestricted association with women by the Prakrita Sahajiyas.
Prakrita Sahajya. The word Prakrita means those who give importance to material life, and Sahajya, Sahaj means very easy, no? So Prakrita Sahajas are those people who take things very, very easily. So they are the ones who think that Radha Krishna's Rasa Leela is just like a boy and girl's lusty affairs. So they are called as the pseudo Vaishnavas. Pseudo means false. They appear like devotees, they appear like Vaishnavas, but they are pseudo Vaishnavas because they are Prakrita Sahajas. They take these pastimes to be very easy, very cheap, equal to the common affairs of uh, ordinary boys and girls. So they are called as Prakrita Sahajas. Let's continue.
In his statement, Maharaj Parikshit has used several important words which require clarification. The first word, Jugub Sitam, means abominable. The first doubt of Maharaj Parikshit was as follows. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who had advented himself to establish religious principles. Then why did he mix with others' wives in the dead of the night and enjoy dancing, embracing, and kissing? According to the Vedic injunctions, this is not allowed. Also, when the gopis first came to him, he gave instructions to them to return to their homes. To call the wives of other persons or young girls and enjoy dancing with them is certainly abominable, according to the Vedas. Then why should Krishna have done this?
So let's see what is the answer. Let's continue.
Okay, another word used here is aptakam. Some may take it for granted that Krishna was very lusty among young girls, but Parikshit Maharaj said that this was not possible. He could not be lusty. First of all, from the material calculation, he was only 8 years old. At that age, a boy cannot be lusty. Aptakam means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-satisfied. Even if he were lusty, he doesn't need to take help from others to satisfy his lusty desires. The next point is that, although not lusty himself, he might have been seduced by the lusty desires of the gopis. But Maharaj Parikshit then used another word, Yadupati, which indicates that Krishna is the most exalted personality in the dynasty of the Yadus. The kings in the dynasty of Yadu were considered to be most pious, and their descendants were also like that. Having taken birth in that family, how could Krishna have been seduced even by the gopis? It is concluded, therefore, that it was not possible for Krishna to do anything abominable. But Maharaj Parikshit was in doubt as to why Krishna acted in that way. What was the real purpose?
So what is the real purpose that Krishna has acted the way he has acted? So Maharaj Parikshit understands that yes, Krishna is Aptakam. He's completely self-satisfied. He could not be lusty. From the material calculation, he is only 8 years old. So even if somebody is looking at it from the material angle of vision, one does not understand the spiritual side, why Krishna has danced with the gopis, while these gopis were sages, he is fulfilling their desires. They did tapasya to have Krishna as their husband. These gopis are non-different from Krishna. So even if one does not understand the spiritual angle, and one is looking at it from the materialistic point of view, then from the materialistic point of view, Krishna is only 8 years old. So how can somebody who is 8 years old from material calculation be performing such pastimes? No, so this is how we understand this 8 year thing. If it is from the material calculation. Okay, then the other point is that he is Yadupati. He is the most prominent personality. He is the most exalted personality in the dynasty of the Yadus, which is a very, very prestigious dynasty coming from King Yadu. And King Yadu himself and all those personalities in the dynasty, they are all very, very exalted personalities. And he is Yadupati. He is the most exalted personality in the dynasty. So it is not possible that Krishna is going to be doing something immoral. So therefore now Maharaj Parikshit is saying, but then what is the purpose? Then why did Krishna do what he did? Let's see.
Another word Maharaj Parikshit used when he addressed Sukdev Goswami is suvrata, which means to take a vow to enact pious activities. Sukadev Swami was an educated brahmachari, and under the circumstances, it was not possible for him to indulge in sex. This is strictly prohibited for brahmacharis, and what to speak of a brahmachari like Sukadev Goswami. But because the circumstances of the Rasa dance were very suspect, Maharaj Parikshit inquired for clarification from Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami immediately replied that transgressions of religious principles by the Supreme Controller testify to his great power. For example, fire can consume any abominable thing. That is the manifestation of the supremacy of fire. Similarly, the sun can absorb water from a urinal or from stool, and the sun is not polluted. Rather, due to the influence of the sunshine, the polluted, contaminated place becomes disinfected and sterilized.
So just as our sun, the sun is a very, very powerful personality. The sun can absorb impurities from urinals and all other obnoxious substances. The sun can take it. But that doesn't mean the sun is going to get contaminated. So when great personalities perform any activity, they do not get contaminated. So Krishna is, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is no question of him being contaminated because he is performing any activity, and definitely not the Rasa dance. Next.
One may also argue that since Krishna is a supreme authority, his activities should be followed. In answer to this argument, Sukadev Goswami has very clearly said that the Ishvara or supreme controller may sometimes violate his own instructions, but this is possible only for the controller himself, not for the followers. Unusual and uncommon activities by the controller can never be imitated. Sukadev Goswami warned that the conditional followers, who are not actually in control, should never even imagine imitating the uncommon activities of the controller. A Mayavadi philosopher may falsely claim to be God or Krishna, but he cannot actually act like Krishna. He can persuade his followers to falsely imitate the Rasa dance, but he is unable to lift the Govardhan hill. We may have experiences in the past of Mayavadi rascals who delude their followers by posing themselves as Krishna in order to enjoy Rasalila. In many instances, they were checked by the government, arrested, and punished. In Orissa, Thakur Bhakti Vinod punished a so-called incarnation of Vishnu who was imitating the Rasalila with young girls. There were also many complaints against the so-called incarnation. At that time, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a magistrate, and the government deputed him to deal with that rascal, and he punished him very severely. The Rasalila dance cannot be imitated by anyone. Sukadev Goswami warns that one should not even think of imitating it. He specifically mentions that if out of foolishness one tries to imitate Krishna's Rasa dance, he will be killed, just like a person who wants to imitate Lord Shiva's drinking of an ocean of poison. Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison and kept it within his throat. The poison made his throat turn blue, and therefore Shiva is called Neelkant. But if any ordinary person tries to imitate Lord Shiva by drinking poison or smoking ganja, he is sure to be vanquished and he will die within a very short time. Lord Sri Krishna's dealing with the gopis occurred under special circumstances.
So yeah, this is the bottom line. Now we cannot imitate great personalities. So Prabhupada would always say, if you want to imitate Krishna's Rasa dance, first why don't you try to imitate Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill? Because he lifted the Govardhan hill before he did the Rasa dance. No, he was 7 when he lifted the Govardhan hill. He is he was 8 when he did the Rasa Leela. So first you try to lift the Govardhan hill, and then you try to imitate this Rasa dance. Why you want to only imitate Rasa dance and not lift the Govardhan hill? And again, Lord Shiva also. Lord Shiva was, he drank the poison that came when the ocean was churned by the Devatas and the Asuras. There were many items that came out of that ocean. And one of the items that came out was a very, very deadly poison. And Lord Shiva, he consumed that poison to save all the living entities. And he had the ability to hold that poison in his throat, and his throat turned blue. That's why he's called as Neelkant, no, blue-throated one. So, but what do the followers of Lord Shiva, some of them, what do? They smoke ganja, and they get intoxicated, and then they are dancing in a state of intoxication. They say that we are followers of Lord Shiva. But why do you want to imitate the ganja and the drinking without imitating the poison? Lord Shiva, even if he smokes ganja and even if he's getting intoxicated and he's dancing, but he also has the ability to drink that deadly poison and hold it in his neck, right? So why don't you first try to imitate that? So therefore, we cannot imitate great personalities. We only have to follow in their footsteps. We only have to follow their instructions. We only have to follow their instructions and not imitate them. Very, very important. And the story of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is a very, 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 very interesting story, but you can read it offline. When I share the slides, this is the link. Here you can see how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the father of the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's father is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is also our Acharya in our disciplic succession, a pure devotee, very, very powerful personality. He was a magistrate, he was a grihastha, and he also was a pure Vaishnava. He followed his sadhana very, very strictly. So there was this time when there was this bogus Mayavad philosopher who was engaging in all kinds of nonsense, and he was appointed, because at that time India was under the British rule. So the British officers appointed him because they knew that he's a spiritual person, no? So they appointed him to look into the matter. And then how he dealt with this fake bogus Mayavad imitator, and how this person actually, he had mystic powers. He was so powerful, he had mystic powers, no? And he tried to kill Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his family by using his mystic powers, no? And then it so happened that in the court, when he appeared in the court, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he understood that this guy's mystic power is in his hair. He had this locked hair, no? These locks of hair, jata it's called. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur ordered that his hair should be cut off. And people were afraid to cut his hair because he was such a powerful mystic yogi that they were afraid to cut, and nobody was willing to cut. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, okay, get me the scissor, I myself will cut it. So he himself cut his hair. And that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur had high fever actually. He and his family had very high fever because this mystic yogi wanted to kill them, no, by his mystic powers, and therefore he developed fever and all that stuff. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had very high fever when he appeared in the court on that day, when this guy also was present in the court. So what happened later and how he was dealt with, you can read in this link when I share the slides in the group. Let's continue.
Most of the gopis in their previous lives were great sages, except expert in the study of Vedas, and when Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Ramachandra, they wanted to enjoy with him. Lord Ramachandra gave them the benediction that their desires would be fulfilled when he would appear as Krishna. Therefore, the desire of the gopis to enjoy the appearance of Lord Krishna was long cherished. So they approached the goddess Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. There are many other circumstances which also testify to the supreme authority of Krishna and show that he is not bound by the rules and regulations of the material world. In special cases, he acts as he likes to favor his devotees. This is possible only for him because he is the supreme controller. People in general should follow the instructions of Lord Krishna as given in the Bhagavad Gita and should not even imagine imitating Lord Krishna in the Rasa dance.
So Krishna, he acts in special cases like this for the benefit of his devotees. So here, for the benefit of his devotees, for the benefit of these sages, Krishna is fulfilling the desire of these sages. And then again, when they came as gopis, he's fulfilling the desire of the gopis. So this is a special act that Krishna has done in order to satisfy his devotees. Krishna can go to any extent for the sake of his devotees. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters to Krishna other than his devotees. That is his primary focus. That is his primary focus, to protect his devotees, to fulfill the desire of his dearmost devotees. So even on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there was a point when Krishna had to break his promise in order to save Arjuna. Because Krishna had taken a vow before the war that he will not lift any weapons, he will not fight in the war. No, he will not take an active part, in the sense that he will not fight. But there was a point when Bhishma Dev almost killed Arjuna. And in order to save Arjuna, Krishna picked up the broken wheel of a chariot and he rushed towards Bhishma to kill him. And if Arjuna would have not stopped Krishna, perhaps Bhishma would have been killed on the spot. So Krishna broke his promise in order to save his dearmost devotee Arjuna. Now, for a Kshatriya to break a vow is a big deal. No, so imagine Bhishma took that vow of remaining a lifelong brahmachari, and forever he stuck to that vow. No matter what kind of an emergency situation arose, he chose never to break that vow, because for a Kshatriya to keep the vow is of supreme importance. But Krishna, he is a Kshatriya there, he is the king of Dwarka. He chose to break that vow that he took because he wanted to save Arjuna. So Krishna can do anything for his devotees. That is the bottom line. Nothing else matters to Krishna. Let's continue.
Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill and his killing of great demons like Putana are all obviously extraordinary activities. Similarly, the Ras dance is also an uncommon activity and cannot be imitated by any ordinary man. An ordinary person engaged in his occupational duty like Arjuna should execute his duty for the satisfaction of Krishna, that is within his power. Arjuna was a fighter and Krishna wanted him to fight for his satisfaction. Arjuna agreed, although at first he was not willing to fight. Duties are required for ordinary persons. They should not jump up and try to imitate Krishna and indulge in Rasa Leela and thus bring about their ruin. One should know with certainty that Krishna had no personal interest in whatever he did for the benediction of the gopis. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Namam Karmani Limpanti. Krishna never enjoys or suffers the results of his activities. Therefore, it is not possible for him to act irreligiously. He is transcendental to all religious duties and principles. He is untouched by the modes of material nature. He is the supreme controller of all living entities, whether in human society, in demigod society, in the heavenly planets, or in the lower forms of life. And he is also the supreme controller of material nature. Therefore, he has nothing to do with religious or irreligious principles.
Continue.
Sukadev Goswami further concludes that the great sages and devotees who are washed clean of all conditional life can move freely even within the contamination of material nature by keeping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within their hearts. In this way, they also do not become subject to the laws of pleasure and pain in the modes of material nature. How then is it possible for Krishna who appears by his own internal potency to be the subject to the laws of karma.
So another point that Sukadeva Goswami is making is that how the living entities are under the law of karma. The conditioned souls, they are working under the three modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. No, and these modes of material nature or material nature is working under the jurisdiction of Krishna. So Krishna is not subject to the laws and regulations of the three modes of material nature. But yes, we are. So if a conditioned soul tries to do what Krishna did, then we will have to suffer from the karmic reactions. But karma is not going to affect Krishna anyway, because Krishna is the one who makes the laws of karma. No? So the material nature is under Krishna's jurisdiction. He is not going to be implicated for any activity. But if a conditioned soul does, then yes, he will be implicated. Let's continue.
In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord clearly says that whenever he appears, he does so by his internal potency. He is not forced to accept a body by the laws of karma like an ordinary living entity. Every other living entity is forced to accept a certain type of body by his previous actions. But when Krishna appears, he always appears in a body that is not forced upon him by the action of his past deeds. His body is a vehicle for his transcendental pleasure pastimes, which are enacted by his internal potency. He has no obligation to the laws of karma. The Mayavadi monist must accept a certain type of body, being forced by the laws of nature. Therefore, his claim to being one with Krishna or God is only theoretical. Such persons who claim to be equal with Krishna and indulge in Rasa Leela create a dangerous situation for the people in general. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was already present as a super soul within the bodies of the gopis and their husbands. He is the guide of all living entities, as is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Setana Seta Nanyam. The super soul directs the individual soul to act, and the super soul is the actor and witness of all action.
Okay, so monism, what does that word monism mean? Monist, the Mayavadi monist must accept a certain type of body. So monism means the theory or the belief that God and jivas are one. No, monism one. God and the jivas, God and living entities are one. Then there is another theory called dualism or the theory of duality, which means that God and jivas are different. Now, what do you think is the Vaishnava philosophy? What is the correct philosophy as taught to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Monism, dualism, or something else? Does anybody remember? We have discussed this in the past. We are one or we are not one?
We are one in
Yeah, we are one in quality,
quality, but not in quantity.
Exactly. So what is it? Then what is that theory called? What is that philosophy called? What
We
tattva is
we
that?
are the servants of the God.
Okay. Is there a specific name for that in Sanskrit?
Achintya Bhedo Bhava.
Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. It is called Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Means we are one and different at the same time. And this is Achintya. Achintya means it is inconceivable. Inconceivable. So Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. The inconceivable one and different theory at the same time. No? So we are one with the Lord in quality, in the sense that he is also Satchitananda, he is also eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss, and the soul also is eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. So yes, we are one in quality, but we are very different in quantity. We don't have the full beauty, we don't have the six opulences: beauty, fame, wealth, renunciation, etc. We don't have those six opulences in full quantity. So we are the same in quality, but we are very different in quantity. Just like a drop of water from the ocean has the same quality as the ocean, it has the same chemicals in the same proportion as the ocean, but in quantity, the drop of water and the amount of water in the ocean, there is a vast difference. So this is called as the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, inconceivable, one and different. So this is taught to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is Krishna himself, right? So we are not monists and we are not dualists, but we believe in the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Okay, and this term here, where is that? Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. Of all the entities who are Nitya, the word Nitya means eternal, no? Of all the entities who are eternal, of all the eternals, Krishna is the supreme eternal. Yes, we are all eternal, but Krishna is the supreme eternal. Nityo Nityanam. And Chetanas Chetananam means of all the conscious beings, of all those who have Chetana, of all the conscious beings, Krishna is the supreme conscious being. So Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. Therefore, we cannot imitate Krishna. The other thing here, point here is that Krishna, when he appears, he can choose which parents, who will be my parents, in which city I want to appear, no, under what circumstances I want to appear. Krishna can choose where, when, how. But we cannot choose. The living entities, the conditioned souls, we did not get to choose our parents. No, we did not get to choose, I want to be born in this particular city. We don't get to choose. We take birth according to our past karma. But Krishna can choose. So this is another difference between Krishna and the Jivas. Let's continue. Yeah, we have a question here. Hand is raised. Shantaram Latkarji.
What was the purpose behind Rāsa Leela?
What is the purpose of? I didn't get that.
What was the purpose behind the Rāsa Leela by Krishna? Because Krishna doesn't do anything without purpose.
The purpose was he wants to fulfill the desire of the sages in Ram Leela. And now when they have appeared as gopis, he wants to fulfill the desire of the gopis because they prayed that they want to have Krishna as a husband. So these are the two purposes, two main purposes, because he wants to please his devotees. And another purpose is, which we will see later, that by reading about the Rasa Leela, one's lusty desires would go away, would be washed away. Because every time we read any particular Leela of Krishna, there is a benefit that we get. So if anybody on the materialistic platform has lusty desires, when he reads about this Rasa Leela, then his lusty desires would be gone. So that is another benefit and another reason why Krishna performed this Rasa Leela. And Krishna performs pastimes in all the 5 rasas, no? So this pastime is in the Madhurya Ras, so that people who are in the Madhurya Ras, who are connecting with Krishna in the Madhurya Ras, they will be attracted to Krishna by reading about the Madhurya Leela pastimes. Those who connect with Krishna in the, for example, parental rasa, then they will be attracted to Krishna when they read the Damodar Leela. So Krishna performs Leelas in all the 5 rasas to attract all kinds of devotees. So they will be attracted by reading those particular pastimes. So there are many purposes to fulfill the desires of the sages of Ram Leela, to fulfill the desire of the gopis. They did the Katyayani Vrata. And then for the readers in the future generations, how they can benefit, they can be purified of their lusty desires, and how, again, those who are connecting to Krishna and the Mother Rasa, how they will be attracted to Krishna, or their attraction will be further enhanced by reading these pastimes. So these are the different purposes. Okay. Okay, let's continue.
It is
So
confirmed in the
just want to summarize. So does that mean that all these rasas are being done just to attract us towards liberation
Yes,
or
because
salvation?
he's Leela Purushottam. That is his primary objective. He's Leela Purushottam. Okay, let's read.
Okay. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is present in everyone's heart and that from him come all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. He is the original person to be known by Vedic knowledge. He is the author of the Vedanta philosophy and he knows the Vedanta philosophy perfectly well. The so-called Vedantists and Mayavadis cannot understand Krishna as he is. They simply mislead their followers by imitating the actions of Krishna in an unauthorized way. Krishna, the super soul of everyone, is already within the body of everyone. Therefore, if he sees someone or embraces someone, there is no question of impropriety.
So Krishna is present in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, as the super soul. You can see here. And beginning right from Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is the first created living entity. Starting from Lord Brahma right up to the insignificant tiny ant, the super soul is present. Krishna is present as the super soul. So if he is embracing another one, the super soul is present in both in the bodies of both the living entities. So there can be nothing immoral. So see here, this is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi shanivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha, which means he is present in the heart of every living entity. And what is he doing in the heart of every living entity? From him, mata, from me, Krishna says, comes smritir, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam, forgetfulness. So Krishna in the heart, he is the one who gives remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Then he says, Vedais cha sarvair aham eva vedyo. From all the Vedas, Vedais cha sarvair, from all the Vedas, aham eva vedyo. I have to be known. The conclusion of all the Vedas is that we have to understand, we have to know Krishna. That is the purpose of all the Vedas. Then Vedanta Krit, Vedavid. Krishna says that he is Vedanta Krit, which means he is the compiler of the Vedas. He has composed the Vedas. And he's also Vedavid. He also knows the Vedas. He is the compiler of the Vedas and he is also knower of the Vedas. Vedanta Krit, Vedavid, Eva Chaham, Krishna is saying. Okay, let's continue.
Some ask that if Krishna is self-sufficient, why did he at all manifest the pastimes with the gopis which are disturbing the so-called moralists of the world? The answer is that such activities show special mercy to the fallen conditioned soul. The gopis are expansions of his internal energy, but because Krishna wanted to exhibit the Rasa Leela, they appeared as ordinary human beings. In the material world, pleasure is ultimately manifested in the sex attraction between man and woman. The man simply lives simply to be attracted by women, and the woman lives simply to be attracted by men. That is the basic principle of material life. As soon as these attractions are combined, people become more and more implicated in material existence. In order to show them special favor, Krishna exhibited his Rasa Leela dance. It is just to captivate the conditioned souls. Since they are very much attracted by sex, they can enjoy the same life with Krishna and thus become liberated from the material condition. In the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit also explains that the pastimes and activities of Lord Krishna are medicine for the conditioned soul. If they simply hear about Krishna, they become relieved of the material disease. They are addicted to material enjoyment and are accustomed to reading sex literature. But by hearing these transcendental pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, they will be relieved of material contamination.
So this is exactly what we were previously discussing. Now, how by reading this Rasa Leela, everybody is attracted by sex and all that, but one can be liberated from the material condition. So in order to show mercy to ordinary living entities, therefore Krishna is performing these pastimes so that we can be liberated. We can be relieved of the material disease. Let's continue.
How they should hear and from whom is also explained by Sukadev Swami. The difficulty is that the whole world is full of Mayavadis, and when they become professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and when people, without knowing the effect of the Mayavad philosophy, hear from such persons, they become confused. Discussion of the Rasa Leela among people in general is discouraged because they are affected by the Mayavada philosophy. But if one who is advanced explains and people hear from him, certainly the hearers will be gradually elevated to the position of Krishna consciousness and liberated from materially contaminated life.
So how we should hear and from whom we should hear also is very, very important. If you are going to hear from professional reciters, it will not lead to purification. It can lead to some information, but it will not lead to purification. But when we hear from the devotees of the Lord, then it will lead to purification. Then it would lead to a transformation. So it's very, very important that we hear from bona fide authorities. We are reading this Krishna book with the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, and therefore we will be able to understand this by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. But if one is to hear this Rasa Leela from professional reciters, for example, there are people, no, they will say Bhagavat Sapta. In 7 days, we will do a Bhagavatam program, and they charge an exorbitant amount of money to come and do this Bhagavatam program for 7 days. They are professionals. They are professionals. They are not necessarily devotees. So if they are not devotees, then it will not lead to transformation of the heart. It will only give us some information. But when we hear from devotees, that leads to transformation. That leads to purification. Let's continue. Yeah, Shivani?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. So just now when you said that they are professionals and they charge you money, so there are like people in Vrindavan who are very well known, Kathakars, and they speak of Srimati Radharani and do kathas, and they charge like tons and tons of money, but they justify that.
Justify that in what sense?
Like, like I've heard one of them, like I forgot her name, but she said, if I'm going in a nice car or something, nothing is wrong with that, it's like a livelihood or something like that. But their kathas are really good, and so many people go there, and they're residing in Vrindavan or they were born there, but they charge like.
See, the thing is, if a devotee may charge for the services, but the devotee will use the money in the service of Krishna. For example, there are many courses that are run by ISKCON where they charge money. Because when we charge money, then the person who's giving the money will also get some sukriti, will also get benefited. But the money is not kept for in one's own pocket. It is used in the service of Krishna. Some percentage will be donated to the temple, some percentage will be used in Krishna's seva, and some percentage may be kept to maintain the cost of the course, because every course has a certain cost, no? Nothing is 100% free. So some of them may charge, but then that person uses it in the service of the Lord. That is very, very important. But if it is going for your own personal sense gratification, then that is not a devotee.
So even though they're born in Vrindavan, they're not a devotee then? If they're
Oh,
like,
that is highly debatable. It's the consciousness. See, anyone who's born in Vrindavan is not an ordinary living entity. But then what is the consciousness of the person when one is charging? What is your consciousness? You want it for your own sense gratification, or you want it for the sense gratification of Krishna? A devotee always wants to satisfy Krishna. A devotee never thinks that you want to satisfy your own pocket. So what is going on in their minds, we don't know. No, it's very dangerous, and why do we judge what somebody else is doing? We just know Shastra says a devotee always wants to gratify Krishna. Even if the devotee charges, that those charges are used for the service of the Lord. Even Prabhupada, many people gave a lot of donations to Srila Prabhupada, of course, but he did not keep anything in his pocket. He always used that. He opened more temples. He arranged Ratha Yatras. He did so many other things. No, he always used it in the service of Krishna. So what Shastra says is this: now what somebody else is doing, what is going on in their mind, only they know, their guru knows, and Krishna knows. We don't know. So we cannot comment on that.
okay, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Now let's continue.
Another important point is that none of the gopis who danced with Krishna were in their material bodies. They danced with Krishna in their spiritual bodies. All their husbands thought that their wives were sleeping by their sides. The so-called husbands of the gopis were already enamored with the influence of the external energy of Krishna. So by dint of this very energy, they could not understand that their wives had gone to dance with Krishna. What then is the basis of accusing Krishna of dancing with others' wives? The bodies of the gopis, which were with their husbands, which were their husbands, were lying in bed, but the spiritual parts and parcels of Krishna were dancing with him. Krishna is the supreme person, the whole spirit, and he danced with the spiritual bodies of the gopis. There is therefore no reason to accuse Krishna in any way.
So again, this we already discussed in the beginning of the class, how it was the spiritual bodies of the gopis who went there, but the material bodies were there along beside their husbands. Let's continue.
After the Rasa dance was over, the night of Brahma, a very, very long period, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, turned into the Brahma Muhurta. The Brahma Muhurta takes place about 1.5 hours before sunrise. It is recommended that one should rise from bed at that time, and after finishing daily ablutions, take to spiritual activities by performing Mangal Aarti and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. This period is very convenient for the execution of spiritual activities. When that auspicious moment arrived, Krishna asked the gopis to leave. Although his beloveds were not willing to quit his company, they were very obedient to him. As soon as Krishna asked them to go home, they immediately left and returned home. Sukadeva Swami concludes this episode of the Rasa Leela by pointing out that if a person hears from the right source about the pastimes of Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, and the gopis, who are expansions of his energy, then he will be relieved of the most dangerous type of disease, namely lust. In other words, one who actually hears the Rasa Leela will become completely freed from the lusty desire of sex life and elevated to the highest level of spiritual understanding. Generally, because they hear the Rasa Leela from Mayavadis and they themselves are Mayavadis, people become more and more implicated in sex life. The conditioned soul should hear the Rasa Leela dance from an authorized spiritual master and be trained by him so that he can understand the whole situation. Thus, one can be elevated to the highest standard of spiritual life, otherwise, one will be implicated. Material lust is a kind of heart disease, and to cure the material heart disease of the conditioned soul, it is recommended that one should hear, but not from the impersonalist rascals. If one hears from the right sources with the right understanding, then his situation will be different.
So how long has this Rasa dance taken place? For what period of time?
Till Brahma Muhurta.
Till Brahma Muhurta, okay.
40 million years.
How many?
40 million.
How you come to 40 million?
So it says somewhere in a paragraph ahead of this, it says one night of Brahma. So then one night of Brahma is 4 million years and then multiplied by 10. So it says 40 million. That should be 40 million.
Does it say for no? Okay, see here it says the night of Brahma. It says night of Brahma. Yes, you're right that it says night of Brahma. But how do you get one night of Brahma? One night of Brahma is the 4 yugas put together multiplied by 1000. So when you add the 4 yugas together and you multiply it by 1000, you get the figure of 4,320,000,000 years. So how do you get the 4 yugas? What's the calculation? Kali Yuga, 432,000 years is the duration of Kali Yuga. Dwapar Yuga is double Kali Yuga. Treta Yuga is 3 times Kali Yuga. And Satya Yuga is 4 times Kali Yuga. If you add these 4 together, if you calculate, you will get 4,320,000 years. That multiplied by 1000 will give you 4,320,000,000 years by our earthly calculation. So for that period of time, this Rasa dance has been going on. Okay. Inconceivable. Let's continue.
Sukadeva Goswami has used the word Shraddhanvita for one who is trained in spiritual life. Shraddha or faith is the beginning. One who has developed his faith in Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Spirit Soul, can both describe and hear the Rasa Leela. Sukadev also uses the word Anushnuyat. One must hear from the disciplic succession. Anu means following and Anu also means always. So one must always follow the disciplic succession and not hear from any stray professional reciter, whether a Mayavadi or an ordinary man. Anushnuyat means that one must hear from an authorized person who is in the disciplic succession and is always engaged in Krishna consciousness. When a person hears the Rasa Leela in this way, the effect will be sure. He will be elevated to the highest position of spiritual life.
See here, that's what we're discussing. One must not hear from any stray professional reciter, whether a Mayavad or an ordinary man, but one must not hear from any stray professional reciters. One must hear from authorized person who is in the disciplic succession. This is the importance of the Guru Parampara. Very important, Guru Parampara. Let's continue.
Sukadev Goswami uses two specific words, Bhaktim and Param. Bhaktim Param means execution of devotional service above the neophyte stage. Those who are simply attracted to temple worship but do not know the philosophy of bhakti are in the neophyte stage. That sort of bhakti is not the perfectional stage. The perfectional stage of bhakti or devotional service is completely free from material contamination. The most dangerous aspect of contamination is lust or sex life. Bhaktim Param devotional service is so potent that the more one advances in this line, the more he loses his attraction for material life. One who is actually deriving benefit from hearing the Rasalila dance surely achieves a transcendental position. He surely loses all traces of lust in his heart.
So this is the benefit. When we hear about this Rasa Leela or when we read about this Rasa Leela, all traces of lust in the heart will be gone. Last paragraph.
Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur points out that according to the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma's day and Brahma's night are periods of solar years expanding to 4,300,000 multiplied by 1,000. According to Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, the Rasa dance was performed during the long period of Brahma's night, but the gopis could not understand that. In order to fulfill their desire, Krishna extended the night to cover such a great period of time. One may ask how this was possible, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reminds us that Krishna, although bound by a small rope, could show his mother the whole universe within his mouth. How was this possible? The answer is that he can do anything for the pleasure of his devotees. Similarly, because the gopis wanted to enjoy Krishna and they were given the opportunity to associate with him for a long period. This was done according to his promise. When Krishna stole the garments of the gopis while they were taking a bath at Chiraghat on the Yamuna, he promised to fulfill their desire in some future night. In one night, therefore, they enjoyed the company of Krishna as their beloved husband, but that night was not an ordinary night. It was a night of Brahma, lasting millions and millions of years. Everything is possible for Krishna, for he is the supreme control. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 33rd chapter of Krishna, description of the Rasa dance.
And on that note, we come to the end of today's presentation by the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Dipti, for your reading. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, so since there are no questions and comments, we will end now because there is no exam either. It's an exam-free session. So see you all next week if Krishna so sanctions. Till then, have a nice week in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.